Hello and welcome, everybody. It is Spreading the Nerd. I'm your host, Clint Coombs, and as always, joining me is Rick. This is episode 28. I was going to say something good, but I forgot it already. How you doing, sir?
I'm okay.
And I apologize
feels like we
if anybody can hear
haven't
the echo.
feels like we haven't done this in like 12 weeks, but it's only been like two.
Does, yeah.
But
it does feel like it has been a while. Yeah, I got to get back on track. And like I said,
Yeah.
I'm sorry for the echo. There's not much stuff in the space here, so echo. How have you been for the past couple weeks, sir?
been all right. Definitely some things to talk about, as we know.
Yep.
Yeah, it's
Always
all good.
something going on
All I got to say
Always
at this
something.
particular juncture.
at this time. I will say I'm going to get this right out at the beginning. As you can see, I'm kind of in someplace new, but I did forget my fortune cookie. So I thought about it all day too, and I was like,
all right. Wait. Silking it. You got to come up with the punishment that will be served on the next episode.
I'm not eating goddamn ketchup and chips again.
You don't get to decide. This is up to Silking It to decide. Silking It, if you wish, you can private message me, and we'll decide if it's something that has to be told to him ahead of time, which it probably will be, depending what it is. And if not, we'll surprise him on the next episode. But
oh god,
recompense shall be paid for this transgression.
Well, you know what I should have done? I should have just used a website and called it a good.
Strongly about. No, I mean I can see whether you break a cookie or not.
I'll just like pretend. I don't know.
Yes, Silking It. Get creative.
Jumping jacks. I could get into shape.
No. That's way too easy. Silking It. I want you to get creative with this. He's got to pay the price on the next episode.
Stream at least 2 hours of Hollow Knight, and I'm doing him a favor here.
Yeah, it's supposed to be a punishment, not a reward. What are we talking about?
That could work. Stream that before we do the podcast or something. I'll just stream it at the title screen and just leave it.
That would result in you'd have to get a family-sized bag of chips with an entire bottle of ketchup and finish it all.
God, it was. Like, no offense to Ellery, but God, it was not good. I did not like it at all. Never again. Guys, what have you been playing the past couple weeks?
No. We're not there yet. Remember?
What are we doing?
We're doing a different order. Remember?
Oh, I thought we were doing what we were doing where we were playing.
No, that comes after.
Oh, okay. After. Okay. All right. Okay. Let's see. You you might as well go first then. For the question of the week.
Well, either way, so the order we're going to do this from now on, just because it seems to make the most sense, is after our greetings and whatever nonsense we start with, we will then jump into the results of the previous week's, in this case 2 weeks ago, question of the week. So for those who were not here or don't remember, the week's question was, what are your 3 favorite gaming plot twists?
This was a good one, too. It had me thinking a lot.
So Matt came in hot, and before I even finished typing what the question of the week was, he came in with 5 and 2 honorable mentions. Now, there are obviously going to be spoilers here. I will... For those who want to mute for a second, I'll say the name of the game. I'll give a couple second pause, and then say what the thing is, so you have a chance to mute if you'd like. Okay. So now to be clear, I don't even know what a couple of these mean, so I'm gonna have to take Matt's word for it.
Yeah, I know.
But number 1 is Undertale. Give me 3 seconds. Flowery is Asriel. I have no idea what that means.
No idea. Never played it.
Okay.
I know it was popular. Never played it.
Number 2, I take issue with, and I'll explain this in a second. Red Dead Redemption 2. Micah is the rat / Dutch's betrayal. I don't consider it to be a spoiler.
Should have muted myself.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because this is my point. Number 1, if you played the original Red Dead, you know darn well that what happens with Dutch, right? Number 2, literally in the opening minute of that game, you can tell that Micah is going to be the problem. So I take issue with that. However, number 3 is a good call out.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Okay. God of War Ragnarok. The tier that you are with the whole time is actually Odin. That was a cool plot twist.
It was really good.
That I did not see that one coming. Now that was a pretty cool one. All right.
Nope.
Number 4. Sekiro.
Ooh.
The backstab. I think I know what this means, although I don't know the context of it, but I know who I believe the final boss is to that game. So I assume that's what it's reference to. Elden Ring. Radigan and Marika are the same, which is very weird but true. Honorable mention, the first one I don't consider to be a spoiler because it's more of a joke, but it's Portal, and it's the cake is a lie. I mean, that's just kind of a running joke through it as opposed to a spoiler. But and again, the next one is Undertale. I'm gonna have to take his word on it. Fighting Sans. Does that mean sans serif? Are you fighting text in this? I don't know what that means. But either way.
Elden Ring can't have a plot twist in a game without a plot.
That is true. That is true.
It's true. It's true.
That is true.
Oh god.
Okay, let's see. Let's make our way down here.
I never played Undertale, and it's not something that even
there is zero appeal to that whatsoever.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people loved it, and I've listened to a few of the soundtracks to it, and I do like the soundtrack to it, but I've never. I don't know. Yeah, Matt, it's still gonna has a plot. You just got to read up it. That's
we're aware, Matt. Silken and I both spent $300 on a friggin' book of lore of Elden Ring.
I'm so excited for you guys.
We're well aware. We got the digital version of it. Like because when you bought this, they were so kind. They threw in the $10 digital version for free. So we actually have that. We have the PDF files. They came. I think it was this week, or it might have been the week before. We are waiting for the physical one though. That's still a little ways out.
Those
next
physical
up,
ones are beautiful.
Oh, they're insane. Next up is still going to speak of the French devil himself. First one, I'm going to have to take his word for because it's a game I didn't play and it's a game I'm not going to play. That said, I know your daughter has.
Yep.
And that is mouth washing. Take responsibility. Whatever that means.
I have no idea. I have it. I just haven't played it.
I will say, actually, Silk and it kind of remained pretty vague in a lot of it, which is okay. We can do that. We can work with that too. The second one, now the second and third, I actually do know of what he is referring to. The second one is Doki Doki Literature Club. It says Sayori and Monica. Now that one, actually, I don't know exactly what it means, but I do know the big plot thing about Doki Doki Literature Club. And last is Prey from 2017. He said post-credit scene when you learn who you are. I know what that means. But I actually did not really. I never finished it, but I didn't realize it was a post-credit scene. But I do know what your character is. So let's see. All right, now we got the man Baden. Let's see. What did he say? Okay, first is the one that I did kind of say to everybody. It's a little cliche, but we'll allow because it is truly one of the great gaming plot twists.
Yeah. It's
fantastic. It's BioShock. Now the way he phrased it's not how I would have phrased it, but it is what it is. You've been brainwashed this whole time. I would simply phrase it as "Would you kindly?" God. For those who don't know, obviously that's the trigger.
So good.
The trigger
it's
to make
so
you
good.
More or less a sleeper agent, but not quite. Number 2 is Slay the Princess, which I don't know anything about this one.
I haven't played that one. You're the long.
You are the long quiet. I don't know what that means, but Baden, I'll take your word for it. And number 3, Shadow of War. I was going to say what it was. He phrased this kind of humorously, but Talion and Celebrimbor divorce, which I know what he means. It's probably not how I would have phrased it, but I know what he's saying. It is kind of interesting how that ends, although I know the Tolkien nerds, kind of like to lay in on those games in terms of what does and doesn't fit into the proper Tolkien canon, to which I argue this. It's not supposed to fit in the Tolkien canon. It's supposed to fit in the movie canon, which it does, because none of that shit is touched at all in the movie. And then he has an honorable... What's
Go
that?
ahead. Go
I'll
ahead.
say he has an honorable mention for Love Sam. You are Kyle. I don't know what that means, but okay. Now, what were you gonna say?
I want another Shadow War game so fucking bad, dude. They were
Well,
so
I mean, you really couldn't get one, to be perfectly honest
I
with you.
know. They were so good.
So now, as is common, I got a little bit wordy in mine, but I started with what I think is probably objectively the best gaming plot twist of all time, at least of modern time, and that is, of course, Knights of the Old Republic, and that is that
Such
your
a twist,
character
dude.
is Revan. You spend the entire game chasing around Malak and trying to find out what happened with Revan, and the game has hinted to you the entire time what's happening, and it's just so subtle you don't notice it. And then when Malak finally reveals to you that that's who you are, it kind of flashes back to show you all the moments throughout the game when it basically told you what was happening, and you were like, "Damn, how did I not piece that together?"
It's so good.
Number 2 is another truly great one, and also relevant considering the remake is coming out in a couple months now. Metal Gear Solid 3. And that is that the boss, who you have been chasing around the entire game for having defected from the United States government and beginning to work with Colonel Volgin, did not actually defect and is actually extraordinarily deep undercover to steal the Philosopher's Legacy from Volgin and thus not let the Russian and Chinese government know that the United States has gotten it, because why? The government sucks. That's the long story. Number 3, I also kind of went with one that I said we shouldn't use, but I use it anyway. And that is, of course, Final Fantasy VII. And that is that Cloud is the worst storyteller in all of history, because everything he tells you that happened in the past happened, but not as he told you. He is telling you what Zach Fair did while he tagged along hiding because he was ashamed to be a regular Shinra foot soldier as opposed to a member of first class. Or actually, I'm sorry, as opposed to being a member of soldier at all. And then obviously it's revealed that he was captured when you find out what actually transpired for the part of the backstory that it doesn't show you right away. And I think I did put a special honorable mention, and that is actually I put this like yesterday.
Is that when you put it? Because I was gonna say, I don't remember seeing that.
I was just thinking about it. I'm like, man, I don't know why I don't have that, and that is Nier Automata. 2B's designation, which would mean battle android type number 2, is not her actual designation. Her true name / designation is 2E, which stands for executioner, and she is not a battle type like what A2 is, for example. A is assault, but nonetheless. The whole point is her entire reason for existing is that the S models, which is what 9S is, of course, they are like hackers, just like 9S is, and they learn information, all that stuff. However, there is a ton of information that they repeatedly uncover that Yorha does not want to be gotten out to the other androids to ruin or to inform them as to what actually happened. So the E models actually kill them over and over and over again once they discover the information that they are looking for, and thus resets them back to like almost like a default state, which is why you see her seem to be so emotionless and callous towards him, and then when she actually kills him at the end of her playthrough, she like has a mental breakdown because the point is she's done this so many times that she's tired of doing it. I thought that was pretty much amazing, actually. Let's see who we got next.
I think
Baldwin put
Baldwin added something
just a few minutes ago.
Yep.
And it would be the original Ni no Kuni, Wrath of the White Witch.
So good.
Ellie is actually Alicia, and Shadar is Oliver's soulmate. Now,
I freaking love
I actually never finished this game. I love the game, but when you get off the second party member, which is when it should theoretically get good, the AI is so bad that it kind of ruins the game for me, and I can never get past it because they cut through all their MP. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, either Allie or Alicia is Oliver's mother, so I assume that's what that's referring to. I know who Shadar is, but I don't know the soulmate reference. But one day I do need to go back and finish it because that game really is amazing.
It's really good. The second one's really good too, but
it's not nearly as good. It's not nearly.
And it's super easy.
I played on very hard just to put like some slight amount of resistance, but it still is pretty easy. You're right.
Yeah.
Now somebody chose not to ever answer this in the Discord, so he's gonna have to.
No, I'm throwing it out there. So my first one is, well, I kind of put a teaser in there of what. Because I put the at the right at the top. Because
God, I hate you. I was wondering why you put that there.
So one of mine is gonna. I actually had two of mine were, or one of mine was the Knights of the Republic. You are Revan. But I was like, you already did that one, so
since you didn't.
It
is an old game. It is an old game.
It is.
If you haven't played it yet, that's your own damn fault.
So definitely that was one for sure, because that is obviously one of the top ones. BioShock was talked about, so I had to kind of think outside the box and pick one. One immediately came to me, and I know you don't like Final Fantasy X. I love Final Fantasy X. It was a special. I do like the game in general, but it was like it arrived at a very good time for me, because I was not at a young emo whatever. Clint was not in a good time period when that came out, so that kind of like brought me down and made me a better person.
Teenage angst Clint.
Teenage angst Clint. Yeah, thank you. And it brought me back to reality. So Final Fantasy X, and let's see what count down to 3. 1, 2, 3. So basically the main character Titus is a dream of the faith the whole time in the game, and at the end where Yuna sends people off or whatever, sends Auron, and then all of a sudden like he walks out and he gets sent off. We don't talk about what happened in Final Fantasy X-2 because that game does suck ass. So we don't talk about that ending. Oh, God, I was so excited for that game, and it was terrible.
The funny part is, I mean, while they're obviously technically connected, the better plot twist is dealing with Auron and his background and who he actually is, as opposed to I've always pronounce it Titus, but they never once say his name out loud, so there is no correct pronunciation.
No, so
and that includes
Titus before too.
If you play Dissidia, they never say his name, so there is no.
Oh, did they not in that either?
Nope. No, well, there's 2 of them, but no, never. Actually, there's 3 of them. No, there is no correct pronunciation to his name.
Yeah, Jettinson is a good one, but I don't know. I think it was the whole Titus one for me. Just I don't know.
I mean, I do hate that game. That's not untrue, but it is a decent plot twist. I'll say that. And it actually fits pretty well with the whole theme of the game and stuff like that. And it's like, okay, well, that obviously explains how the beginning makes no sense whatsoever. And you look at it and kind of go like, how did I not actually realize that's what happened here? Because it's actually kind of obvious when you look at it.
Yeah, especially because I think, Jesus, how old was I when?
I mean, at the time it wasn't obvious because you didn't know how that worked. But as soon as you meet Yuna and understand
16, I think maybe 15, 16. I think I can't remember.
2001. No, you were the same age as me. No, you were 18.
What? I was 18 when that came.
Because it came out in December of 2001.
Jesus Christ! So kind of older.
No.
I was going to say that
it came out in 2002. I think it's either 2001 or 2002.
No way.
I was graduated for sure. I can't speak for you.
Hold on, everybody. We got to do some.
You keep talking. I'll look it up.
Because it was 2001. Okay, Jesus.
It says July, but I think July was the Japanese release. I believe it came out. I'm almost positive it came out in December in North America.
Yeah. So I played the shit out of that, and
December 18th. Yep.
I'll be damned. So I was gonna say BioShock and Knights of the Old Republic, but decided to switch it up. I'm gonna go with Red Dead Redemption and plot twist in 1, 2,
Plot twist was in
3.
Red Dead Redemption.
When Marston gets killed.
Oh, okay. So not so much a twist, more of an event. But I'll allow it.
Yeah. It's just one of those things that I didn't see coming at all, type of thing.
Yeah.
So that one for me for Red Dead Redemption. And then another one that kind of young. This is also young me from PlayStation 1. Was back in Resident Evil, the first one, and 1, 2, 3.
A pretty well-known spoiler by this point, but
yeah, but Wesker is actually an agent for Umbrella when
he's a scientist for Umbrella. Actually, I don't know if they said it in the original release, but in like Zero,
I don't know if there was a scientist, but yeah, but you just thought he was in Stars.
In Zero, it confirms that he was like,
oh, okay,
he was like, what's his name's like main rival, Birkin's main rival.
So yeah, you thought he was part of Stars, and then come to find out he was part of Umbrella, and I was like, that's pretty good. And then clearly, obviously,
yeah. And then one of them, I don't remember. It might have been 2 remake. I can't remember. They really like go way further into it and like make it up that him running Stars was like a massive like cover up from Umbrella to help like, you know, that was not in the original release, but they really did like retcon the hell out of it to make it tie into that.
Yep. I don't really have any honorable mentions. It's Silent Hill 2, with the fact that it's in your 1, 2, 3. That it's kind of like James, your character, his own physical manifestation and stuff. I don't know, but I think we kind of saw that.
That's not the plot twist I thought you were talking about. That's more of a Silent Hill series thing, although it's not actually revealed until 2.
Yeah. But yeah, that's it. That's it for me. There was some good ones in there. I need to look. I'm gonna go back into Discord and actually look up those some of those games. And Silken is top 1 mouthwash.
Oh my god!
What?
I actually missed an amazing one.
Which one?
And I only think of it now because I'm looking at my own screen.
Are you talking? Wait! I know what it is. It's the plot twist of Fallout 4, isn't it?
No. The biggest plot twist of Fallout 4 is that anybody on Earth thought it was a good
that
game.
You knew it immediately.
that anybody on Earth thought that was a good game is the main plot twist, because that game is horseshit. No. Horizon Zero Dawn. That should have been on my list because that is one of the best plot twists I've ever heard. I love the plot twist of that, which I might as well say it, but Ellery, you are not allowed to listen, so you better mute this.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And that is the meaning of the Zero Dawn moniker, which as you are playing, you notice all the destroyed machines and all that stuff all over the place. But what it is that, you discover about the past Pharaoh plague, which was the machines that went crazy and all that stuff. And they went completely bonkers and they couldn't stop them. And they basically, were able to replicate themselves like that. So they had to manually basically destroy the world, and Zero Dawn was the name of the massive program to try to repopulate the Earth hundreds of years later after they've been able to brute force a shutdown on these machines. And that's why anybody that says Horizon has a bad story, I never listen to a word they say.
Horizon has a fantastic
story. It's amazing. It's one of my favorite sci-fi stories.
It's so good. I don't understand why people say that. I really
hear it all the time. I hear it all the time where it's like, yeah, it's fun to shoot robot dinosaurs, but the story's nothing. It's like, you're an idiot, and you clearly didn't pay attention.
Just didn't,
because it's an amazing story.
Ellery,
you can come back if you haven't yet.
Yeah. I just kind of thought of one too, and I'm kind of mad that I didn't, because I was thinking of Resident Evil and survival horror games, the fact of Dead Space, and the fact that spoiler alert, that the interactions between him and Nicole are not real.
I don't know why. I'm like, what spoiler are you talking about? I don't know why I didn't think about that.
But that was a good one.
And also, the single best part of it is the whole thing with the chapter titles. That was actually a really cool touch.
Yes, so
like
good.
long after I finished the game, somebody told that. I'm like, nah.
Yeah, I didn't know about it until
it actually
way
does
after.
say it.
It's
Now,
so good.
that said, you would have to get so far into the game until you were able to make out what it actually said that it didn't matter. But that's actually kind of cool. And honestly, it has made it that every single game I've ever played now, if a chapter has a name, I start looking at it.
Yep.
Well, thank you for everybody that participated in that. That was.
Should we say what our next one is going to be now, or
at the
end?
At the end of the episode.
So now we go into what we've been playing.
Let's save Jesus Christ for after we talk about the other stuff. But the reality is, I haven't played much else. A little bit of like Ninja Gaiden here and there and stuff like that. But Ninja Gaiden Black 2 specifically, or 2 Black, excuse me. Yeah, the reality is, Jesus Christ be praised is about the main thing I've been playing for the last week. So,
yeah, I have.
What about you?
Some Helldivers. I really didn't play much because I was waiting for Kingdom Come. So I played like.
And you also had a lot of crap going on too. So
yeah, just a lot of stuff. So Helldivers. There was something else. I've been back and forth with Dynasty Warriors Origins. So I've been kind of bouncing off little things here and there. I touched Tales of Grace's F a little bit more again, and I
did play that a little bit. Yeah, I did play that a little bit too.
I do really like it. It's just I just don't have the time to sit down with an RPG really. Well, until Kingdom Come came out and I made time.
You know, speaking of JRPGs, just putting it out there, the mail must have lost my my copy of whatever the hell that's called.
No, it's actually in a box.
Oh, okay, so that's why, because it hasn't been shipped yet. Oh, okay.
It's in a box.
But maybe by the end of the year you'll actually ship it. We'll see.
Maybe we'll see. Well, double or nothing on the next Game Awards.
Yeah, we'll see.
So Dynasty Warriors, which I really, really do like. God, I thought I was playing something else. What the hell did I play? Oh, I picked up Cyberpunk because I was bored and I was waiting for Kingdom Come. So I was like, I don't know. I was like sales on PSN. I was like, screw it. I'll play it on console just to see how it is. And that game like clearly not as good as on PC. The game looks and runs really damn good on console from what I was thinking.
It does. Bear in mind, I played the console version before I played the PC version because I when it first came out, I did not have my PC. Yeah, and actually, I just want to put this on there while we talk. When you get a little further, it does play a little less good. I mean, it still plays okay. Actually, especially when you play the PS5 and Series X version or whatever. But
yeah,
when I played it originally, it was the I said 360, the Xbox One and PS4.
Oh
version,
no,
and that was not good. That said, when you play the PC version, I cannot fathom how you were playing the console version because
I don't know why it was pulling me over to it, but
let me finish. When you have played the PC version, it becomes insanely apparent that the ray tracing is not there because it's not just a technical thing. It is that the entire art style of that game is built around the ray tracing.
It is a
they do a decent job faking it. Don't get me wrong. Like, especially when you're walking around like areas where there's like markets and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But the reality is, like, when you're driving around at night, it looks like a pretty different game compared to the PC version because the ray tracing is genuinely the art style of that game.
Yeah, one of the things that did stick out, that when you say the atmosphere and stuff, when you get into, it's right at the beginning of the story, and you get into the car with the guy that's smoking and stuff, like it looks good on console X, but on PC with the ray tracing, it literally puts a mood in the car that's not in.
The lighting on the console version is so
Yep.
flat as compared
Right.
to on PC, and I agree with Silken at 100% here. He's definitely right. Like the reality is nowadays, in most cases, the ray tracing is supposed to be part of the image quality, which is why like I'm not telling everybody to buy a Pro, but I'm like this is why I want to see better Pro patches because. Now, just as an example, though, Kingdom Come, for example, does not have ray tracing even on PC, so it's not a big deal there, right? But something like Hogwarts Legacy, go even not even necessarily looking at the PC version, but go play the Pro version with the ray tracing on, and then play it in performance mode. I mean, I'm a fan of 60 frames frame rate myself. It looks like a different game. It looks like a different game. And when someone says it looks the same, like you need your eyes checked. You need your eyes checked because it doesn't.
Yeah.
It does not look anything alike.
Yep. There's another game that just came out, Indiana Jones, with ray tracing on looks completely different than on with it off.
What's really weird about that one is I've seen kind of like competing things on that, which says that the console version may actually have ray tracing, just turned down a bit, particularly on the reflections. And now I've not even played it on PC, so I can't compare there. But I will say I saw Digital Foundry like compare, and I was like, okay, I see the difference there, but what I saw is not a like marked difference like it is with some of the other stuff we've mentioned, right? Like the reflections are still there, otherwise they're just not nearly as accurate, as well as maybe some issues here and there. Because obviously reflections are contrary to popular belief, not just ray trace. Like it's the ray tracing makes them better, but they still use screen space reflections to actually, or what is that the term? I can't remember. Like cube maps and all that other crap. It's just the ray tracing makes it that it's more accurate and it doesn't like change when you look up and down and stuff like that. But ray tracing does make a big difference in lighting, and like that's where the real true difference is in most cases. So I can't compare with Indiana Jones because I haven't played the PC version, but I will say like it certainly looked like it was there in the console version, just maybe simplified a little bit to kind of take off of the processing processing load a little bit. I don't know.
Yeah. And I think the way that with Indy too, the lighting effects are fantastic in Indy with the ray tracing, but I think I was just amazed by it because like when you break glass, the different shards of glass will reflect from when you're using RTX, and it's just like
I'm sure the console version does not do that because that would
amazing.
That would bring those video cards to a
like Silkenet said, like people who say, "Oh, ray tracing doesn't," of course it makes a difference. That's why it's implemented in games. If it didn't make a difference, it wouldn't be there. But
it a lot of times what developers and all that stuff try to do is a bit on the, I guess you would call it a buzzword and all that stuff. Ray tracing is not. Ray tracing is absolutely like a rendering technique that is going to become how they do stuff in the future because
it just is.
It makes it that they don't have well actually okay, here's a perfect example. Anybody that says ray tracing doesn't matter, look up Metro Exodus. Look at it before and after the ray tracing update. It literally looks like a different game.
Yeah.
It looks like an entirely different game.
And shout out to that game on console looking so damn good with
amazing.
ray tracing and 60 frames.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, actually, but what 4A did was pretty impressive because the fact that it even ran on a 1 and a PS4 is pretty amazing. It didn't run great, but it ran.
It was there.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, I think we've delayed long enough.
Yeah.
What we've really been playing, of course, is the only thing that we've talked about for weeks now. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. Because as I said in Discord, there is almost no chance that this is not my game of the year this year. And that's in a year that is obviously extremely heavy. I can't. The only thing that I can even see remotely giving it a run is Grand Theft Auto 6. There is nothing else coming out that I think is even going to be remotely close to this game.
I've only played it probably 4 or 5 hours, and I can easily say that it is most likely will be my game of the year. And Honestly, I don't even think GTA 6 for me, I don't think GTA 6 would even come close. I'm sure GTA 6 will be fantastic, but GTA for me has always been just a game where I just go in and I do stupid shit, and that's it, basically. Um, but Kingdom Come is just it's fantastic on every level. It's
And,
just
and actually,
crazy.
something about it that I was just thinking about today is from what I have played. Obviously, I'm still early in it because I've been kind of messing around in the first area and all that stuff. Um, every single thing about it that is something that existed in the first, which is to say almost all of it, obviously, um, is either as good or better than it was in the first game.
Yes.
There were a couple things that early in it I didn't know if that was going to be the case. Like when I first looked through I was looking for something in the help, and I ended up seeing the horse controls and all that stuff. And I was like, why are they completely different? Like that's stupid because like you click L3 to increase speed and R3 to slow down, whereas before you just held circle or
Yep.
double tapped it if you wanted to go into a full gallop. I'm like, what the hell? That's dumb. No, actually, not well. Now that I actually finally got Pebbles, actually probably about 2 hours before we started this. No, I was definitely wrong. I actually see what they did, and it actually works much better than what it did before. Um, the combat is ever so slightly simplified over the first. And at
Yep.
first, I was like, okay, I'm not necessarily against that, but it's a bummer. And then when I'm actually in combat, I'm like, yeah, never mind. This just
Yeah.
the, the only thing I will say about that is I do wish the jabbing was still on a separate button as opposed to being your down option.
Right.
But other than that, I'm like, yeah, this works much better than it did in the
Yeah.
first.
They simplified it in a way that, not to sound like rude or whatever, but they simplified it enough so that the peasants were able to enjoy the game. And
Well, I mean,
people who came from the first one can
it was
still enjoy
clunky
it,
in the
but
first, and
oh,
like
it was clunky, but
there were plenty of times where like you wanted to do something and it wouldn't do that. It would do something different. That really doesn't happen now.
you're right.
So, now obviously if you have not played the first, there is a definite learning curve because the controls are weird until you learn what you're doing.
Yep.
Since it's entirely built around which direction you're slashing from and all that stuff. Um, but it does do once you kind of get the grips on it, it does what you want it to do this time. And since it's the sequel and it starts you at basically like level 5 minimum for everything like that, which is
Mm-hmm.
in the first one, that was where you got to be basically like at a basic level competent at it, right? Like for example, the archery in the first game.
At level 1.
Yeah, in level 1 it was impossible, right? And also in level 1, or actually not level 1, lower than level 5, you had to wear van braces, or else,
Mhm.
because it even told you it's like under level 5, you don't hold the bow correctly, and you'll flay your arm with the.
It's so good.
But you start at level 5 now, so you don't have to have the van braces, right? Now I never got far enough at archery to know if this was a thing or not, but I did notice and do like in this, you actually aim way more correctly than you do in the first one. Like you actually pull the arrow under
Yes.
your eye, so you're looking straight
Yep.
ahead through the arrow, as opposed to
Yep.
off the side like this, which never made any sense. So
Yeah, they did.
before you had to calculate left and right and up and down, whereas
Yep.
now you just have to calculate up and down. I mean, obviously, but the thing's still swaying.
Yeah, they did say
Um,
that when in this one, they did make it so the arrow was more centered
yeah,
instead of off, which
right, and that's how
night
it
and
always
day
should have been.
difference.
Actually, yeah,
So good.
because you're looking down the arrow, so you're at least looking at generally where you're aiming. Whereas before, you kind of had to calculate where it was going from the left and right, since it held it off to the side. So that was an
Such a
improvement.
pain in the ass.
It was weird, and like when you were you basically start by hunting hares in the first game,
Mhm.
which is then a bitch because they're so small. It was
So
so
small.
hard to hit them because you
Ye
had to like I got the left and right down pretty damn well, but I had such a hard time judging the up and down because they were so small. Um,
Mhm.
Now I haven't done a ton of it. I've mostly shot like people with it, um, but no, and it cannot be stated enough how really good looking this game is. Without being a technical marvel. That's the amazing part. Is it's not like it's adequate on the technical level.
Yep.
But it's all the artistic design to it. It looks incredible.
And it runs fantastic.
Yes.
It just runs great, especially for a game that's this open and has so much going on in the world. Like everything, there's so much shit going on. It's crazy. And the fact that it runs so well, there's no, like I said, there's no RTX, but there's no fake frames. There's no AI framework going on or anything. It's just, this is the game.
Well, that's not true. There definitely is. When you're fighting wolves, it very much is.
I don't think I've fought the wolves yet. Or I haven't gotten to any wolves yet. Not yet. I've played for, like I said, 4 or 5 hours, but I have been just Robin Hooding it up and just
So I will say,
poor and rich.
I as much as I like almost everything about the game, fighting wolves is a pain in the ass. Because you basically what you have to do is you have to do the counterattack and then riposte it. Because if you just try to attack it, there's a real good chance it's just going to bite your arm while you're doing it, and it's honestly pretty obnoxious.
Okay,
but fighting humans is great in it. Like I really like the feeling of like, a heavy, high stakes back and forth like sword fight. I think it just feels awesome, and they really beefed up the sound of the blades clashing and stuff like that, which is interesting because they did intentionally make that kind of a dull sound in the first game because that's actually more what it would sound like in real life. But it's so good.
Yeah. Going back to how good it looks, like Warhorse devs, I know it was a updated Crytek engine that they were working with and stuff, but the fact that it's officially good to go on Steam Deck and it runs at 1080p on the Xbox S at 30 frames, I think.
I don't know if it runs in 1080 on the S. It definitely does.
I'm pretty sure it is, but
it definitely does on the PS5 and the Series X on fidelity mode. I think it runs lower than that on the Series S though.
Does it? I thought it was, but either way, the fact that this even runs on the S, honestly.
Silken, to answer this, that's generally the point of it. If you don't, well, I can't speak to mouse and keyboard, which I assume is how you're playing it, but on controller, this is new because this was not the first one. If you hold R1, it actually lets you much more easily break your lock and go to another enemy. But also, like I kind of like the way that it works because it's meant to be. You have to be strategic when you're fighting. You want to get proper, like you want to funnel them down a narrow path or whatever, so they have to come at you single file and stuff like that. Like it actually, it makes you think a little bit when you're in combat. I like that. If you fight any more than 2 or 3 at a time and can't get like environmental advantage, you're probably not going to make it out alive. You're probably not going to win.
So yeah, it is native 1080p on Series S, which is crazy. That's crazy to me for this game. Absolutely crazy.
Say it again. What did you say?
So it on Series S, it is native 1080p at 30 frames, which is crazy for me.
Yeah,
it's just nuts. The game runs fantastic. I'm playing it on the Pro. I think you're playing it on the Pro too, right? And I think it's upscaled to 4K, I believe.
That is correct.
60 frames.
It runs at a native something like 18 something.
Right, and then it's upscaled.
So it's actually pretty close. Whereas the performance mode on the Series X and PS5 runs at like 1200 something, and then it upscales through FSR. The Pro version runs at like like 16 or 1800, I can't remember, and then upscales using the pisser.
Yeah. But this is one of those games that Sony really needs to come out and be like showing this game off on the Pro and be like, hey, this is, upscaled 4K 60 frames. And I haven't seen it skip a beat myself. Like
I did early. I don't. Well, okay. So Digital Foundry, I watched a couple like tech reviews before it came out. In the beginning, when you are being, without trying to get too spoiler, when you're being carried to a hut, okay, you know what I'm talking about, and you're seeing like a flashback sequence. They did say that all versions drop there, and the Pro less than the other ones, but they said all. That said, I didn't notice it there. However, in the early part, I did notice what I would count to be some like almost frame stutter, not necessarily frame drop, but frame stutter.
Mhm.
However, that stopped. Once I got to, was it Toskovich or whatever it's called,
Yep.
it's been smooth as glass ever since.
Mm.
So I don't know if maybe it was a streaming thing, because we know we have an issue with that in certain cases.
Right.
But no, the reality is the performance, you could not ask for it to be much better than
Yeah.
what it is.
And very just nitpicking, and pretty much because I was just looking for it because of Pisser, the reflect not reflections, like the shimmering on like water and some of the armor will sometimes they'll have some artificing going on, but
Yeah.
it like it's really you're
And,
looking
and
at
actually, I mean, it does do that in every version, because again, you're
yeah.
also using upscalers in other versions too.
Yeah.
Um, um, but the water in particular looks far better on the Pro than it does
Mhm.
on the other versions. But you know what? I will say, just as a side note, it is clear that the Pisser actually is getting better, because you're
Oh,
definitely
yes. Yeah.
seeing stuff that's using the newer version. I mean, it's not a surprise. Like, that's what DLSS was,
Right.
right?
Yep.
DLSS 1 was awful.
Yeah, it
But
wasn't yeah, it was like
two,
whatever.
and especially 3 is like, okay, now this is what you
Night
want
and
it to
day.
be.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Um, and you can see that Sony is, this is why, even if they don't do a whole lot with it, it's why the Pro actually, I hadn't even thought about this until recently. The Pro actually was a good idea, if nothing else, because of this, because it gives them
Mhm.
it's going to give them a step ahead of the competitors. Obviously,
Yep.
Microsoft is the one you really consider here, but like because Nvidia, I believe, is doing the Switch too, so that one they'll
Mhm.
obviously probably know what they're doing, but whatever Xbox releases next, you would imagine it's going to have a AI based upscaler.
Yeah. Yeah.
This will put Sony actually ahead of that, because they will have however many years
Right. Of learning their
of improving the pisser, that
yep.
when the PS6 comes out,
It
it's
never
probably
gets
going to
old.
it's probably, well, you can't not say it now. I don't know what they were thinking naming it that. It really,
I know. I
like,
know.
yeah, look at that. Go, yeah, this is not an acronym we could use. But the reality is, like, when PS6 comes out, the Pisser 2, or whatever they call it, will theoretically probably be at a better state than whatever Xbox releases, because they'll have those years under them to have improved
Right.
the AI for it, right? Um,
Exactly.
like Sokin says, their pisser will go further. The pisser will work better than the shitter, whatever that's. I don't remember what that stood for.
um
But yeah, sorry, tangent there. But I had thought of that recently. I had not even considered that, but the reality is that actually, in and of itself, made it the Pro was a good idea, because it's going to help actually with future hardware.
and kind of going to what Ellery said here, I think this would be kind of a good way to kind of define how we're looking at the game on differently. What are your top 3 things you love about the game? Um, for
Well,
me,
I'm
what,
going to speak for both of us and say number one is probably the authenticity and setting, right? I think I can speak for both of us when I say
yeah,
that.
I think that would go under like the immersion of it
Mhm. Yeah,
is
that's a better way to put it. That's a better way to put it.
yeah, it's just it's easily one of the best, if not the best, immersive game
Let,
I've played.
let me say something, because it's exactly on that statement, right? So I had said this to my friend, because this is the friend ended up getting a Pro, because I kept talking this up. He loved Kingdom
Oh
Come
yes,
Deliverance 1. I had told him to play Deliverance 1 back in the day, and he was
yeah.
like, "Yeah, you're right." He's like, "That game was awesome." So this is what I said to him. Let me just find the text here so I can read it. Okay, here we go. This is verbatim what I said to him. I said, "You remember the first time you played Oblivion, and it was a sensation of exploration that was just completely unseen prior to that, and the insane wonder and awe at something you never expected to see in a game. This is that all over again."
Hmm.
There is some very slight hyperbole in that, because the reality is, like, at this point, I don't think you could say I didn't expect to see this again. But I stand completely
Right.
behind the Oblivion comparison, where it's like,
That's a
when,
perfect comparison
the
too.
first time you walk through forests and fields and all that stuff in
Hmm.
Oblivion, it's like, holy shit! Like, it really felt like you were exploring, like, a
Yeah.
hillside or whatever.
Yep.
This is that, and I also said there are a couple open worlds that I hold to be of immensely higher quality than anything else, right? The Northern Realms, as seen in Witcher 3, is definitely there. Night City, as seen in Cyberpunk now,
Mhm.
is definitely there.
Right.
I know you guys probably won't agree with this, but even people who don't like Red Dead Redemption 2 would agree that the way that they did
Oh,
that
easily. Yeah.
it's an impeccably well made open
Yep.
world.
Yeah, I'm
This,
not a fan of that game, but I do know that world is phenomenal.
it's all of those have something in common, right? At least
Yep.
at their time. Obviously, Oblivion is way more dated than the other ones, but it's because it's so much older. All of them felt alive, which is something that
Right.
a lot of open world developers struggle with. I love Ubisoft. The reality is
Yep.
their worlds just simply don't feel alive typically. I'm hoping
Right.
that changes with Shadows, but we'll see. This world feels alive. Like the closest I can compare it to is I genuinely thought that Red Dead Redemption 2's world was
Mm.
the most alive feeling world I'd ever seen, right? Like it actually
Yep.
seemed like people were going about their day. This is every bit equivalent to that, which is
Oh, yeah.
amazing. Which is amazing
Easily.
because
Uh,
Rockstar have spent 25 years perfecting that craft, right?
right.
Warhorses only existed for like 10, right?
Yeah.
Whenever Daniel Vavra and the rest left 2K.
Yep.
Now, they still had made this kind of game before, but it's like what they have accomplished here is truly, truly remarkable.
Yeah. Like with the immersion thing, there's things that happen that you just don't see in other open world games. Like I mentioned it in Discord. I was riding around on my horse, and there was a branch that was low. My head hit the branch, and I fell off. So it's like it's things that you don't even think of that are in the game. Um, and like when you steal things from someone's house, even if no one is in that house, if you steal something and then you walk out, any other game that's open world, you're good to go.
Right, you're
But
away, right?
I walked out and nobody saw me do it, but one of the peasants from across the street saw me leave, and when the person came out of the house was like, "Oh, my stuff is stolen," the peasant was like, "Oh, well, that guy over there walked by and he came out of your house," and then I'm getting asked what I stole by guards. So it's that type of immersion that, like you said, it feels very like you're living in that world for sure.
What's truly amazing about this game, and I'll give another example of this, right? Although this technically goes back to the first one, but they almost took a very different approach to development here, in that they basically developed all these various systems, right? And then they made them also intrinsically tied together, and then built the game on top of that. And it's why everything works so well, right? Like you mentioned about that. I mean, another perfect example. And if you didn't play Kingdom Come Deliverance, you wouldn't have known this, or the second one, obviously. But the game even tells you this. Like they used, so as I mentioned earlier, authenticity is a major focus of these games, right? They basically made, okay, so not to pick on it, but we'll just say Skyrim, right? You find a helmet and a set of armor and you throw it on, right? That's not how it works in this. The way it
Right.
works in this is like, for example, if you get a metal, bassinet helmet or whatever, right? You have to have a coif on underneath it to absorb
Yep.
the actual helmet, or else you can't put that helmet on.
Yep.
Because otherwise, you'd have that metal helmet on with no coif. Somebody would hit it; it would sound like your head was, the thing from a bell hitting off of it.
Yep.
Whereas the coif is what will really absorb. And that said, what kind of coif or gambeson or whatever you have is what absorbs physical impact, as opposed to your chainmail or your plate armor, if you can get it, that absorbs something that slices or something like that. Like they really like thought about how to do this to make it so that it's, I mean, obviously it's authentic to realism, but like, again, all the systems, they all work together to make something that is so insanely deep. I mean, even just looking at the skill tree, like it's not a skill tree like your typical game where it's like, okay, you got better with swords, pick +5 damage, right?
Right.
No, it's like, okay, you'll pick from the skills. It's like, okay, if you strike an enemy first in a tendon, it'll cause their whatever, right? Like it's hard to describe that without seeing it.
Yeah.
But and that every little thing in the game has basically like a skill tree built to it. Drinking has a skill tree.
It's so good.
And it matters because like if you drink properly, and it actually helps you, it can give you stat boosts and
Right.
stuff like But you overdo it, then you get drunk. So now you get stat reductions. You drink too often, you become an alcoholic. Now you deal with, I assume, withdrawal. I've never actually gotten alcoholism in the game.
Not
So
in this playthrough.
well, no, not even the first one. So I can't sit this. But the reality is, like, learning how to make your character drink the right amount is actually part of this game.
Right.
And also, in the Middle Ages, wine and beer and all that stuff was not like a taboo like beverage like it is now. That was what they drank. So like it actually was important. Right. Yeah. Water was very difficult to come up with. And and obviously there was no juice and stuff like that. So like that was what they drank. And so learning how to actually drink properly is a part of this game. Learning how to properly cook and maintain your food so that it doesn't spoil is part of it. It's crazy. Like properly feeding and praising your dog so that it gets obedient with you is part of it, right? When you ride your horse, you get better horsemanship, so you can actually you're better at controlling the horse, or the horse won't get scared. It's like there are so many systems that until you actually would play this game, it's actually hard to believe it. This is not just lip service. Like this game really is so unbelievably deep. It's hard to believe.
And I get like the whole skill system. That's easily one of my favorite things too. Is it literally anything you do in that game, anything, it is tied to some sort of skill. And I like how the skills
taking steps is part of it because it increases your vitality.
Vitality. Yes. Yeah. I was out walking and then my vitality popped up. I'm like, wait a minute. I was like, oh yeah. It's and I like how it levels up. It's not like, I mean, of course it's XP based, like, oh, stealth is broad. Like you sneak around somebody, you gain points in stealth. You hit somebody in the back of the head, it gains stealth points. But it's just, I like it because it reminds me of Morrowind back in the day. Like if you want to jump better, you jump a lot. You want to sneak around better, you sneak around. It's not like
you improve
general XP and putting it into stat points. You just do it more and your character gets better. Like it feels natural.
Specifically, one thing that I like is we had mentioned the combat. Obviously, doing the combat gets you better at it, or gets you mechanically better at it, or statistically, excuse me. Also, it does come down to you learning how to do it. You yourself get better at it, and your character gets better, which helps. But the reality is, you yourself learning how to do it is all the difference there. Now, that doesn't qualify for anything. Obviously, just simply walking around the world, there's not much for you yourself to get better at. But it's truly remarkable. It is truly incredible what they've created. And like you learn the systems, you learn the way the world works, and you learn how to do this and do that. And you begin to learn how, okay, I don't want to have to keep making this trip 1,000 different times. So I'm going to kind of figure out how to properly plan out what I'm doing and stuff like that. And like when you start this game versus when you put 20 hours in, you play totally different because you've kind of learned things about it.
Right. Yeah.
You didn't know even having played the original game, totally different. Right. Like, I mean, same skeleton, but like you still are learning how to play the game completely differently. It's amazing. And then another thing I wanted to give it credit for, if you don't mind me saying here.
Go ahead.
And I said this to my same friend earlier. Something, and this also goes back to the first game, but something that they do that I love is the little mini games that are involved in things. Number one, makes sense, right? It's not just tap something in rhythm and stuff like that. But number two, they're actually enjoyable to do. So it makes it that when you're blacksmithing, right? Or actually, that's not even a good example, but because the blacksmithing is unfortunately a little bit broke in terms of a visual bug on something. But a better example is the alchemy, right? The alchemy in this is.
It could be its own goddamn
that's
game.
Exactly what
I would play it.
That's exactly what I was about to say, right? You go to your alchemy bench, and you got all the stuff set up, right? So the first thing you got to do is, unless you know it, is you got to look at the recipe book. All right, it tells you to start with whatever the 4 bases are, right? Spirits, wine, water, and I forget
oil,
right? Oil, yes, thank you.
Yep.
So you start with that, you pour it in the thing. Then you got to boil it, right? And you put it up. Then you look at it and say, okay, here's the ingredients that I need. So you put those up in a thing. Tells you first step is take 2 pinches of chamomile, right? So you take 2 pinches, you put it in there. It tells you boil it for 2 cycles of the hourglass. So You bring it down on the fire. It starts boiling. And then you go to the hourglass and flip it. And you've got to do all this manually, like right. You got to actually be looking at the recipe book, unless you know it, to know what to do. And you yourself have to do this. You have to follow the instructions. You have to do it correctly. And if you fail, you'll probably still make whatever potion you're trying to make, but it'll be not as good, right? And like it's like and this was in the first game, but it's just like it's like more like developers need to kind of follow this instead of alchemy being okay, take chamomile, take this, combine them together, and then here's what you get. Like you actually have to brew it. You have to make it yourself.
Which like alchemy in other games, I'm like, whatever, I'll do it because I have to. It's never a want or anything. I had to make potions for a quest in Kingdom Come, and I ended up staying there for like a half an hour extra.
It's enjoyable to do.
Yeah, I'm just chilling, and I'm like, it's cozy. The lighting is cozy. I'm like, this. I'll just stay here all day.
And again, something else I said earlier, right? As you do it, you level up in it. You get skills in it, but you yourself get better at it because you learn the timing better. You learn, okay, this is when it's starting to boil. This is when I need to start the timer, right? And so when you're making one, he'll make a comment like, "Oh, I probably should have cooked the chamomile a little bit longer or something like that." But like you yourself actually learn how to do it while Henry levels up in it, and he'll level up until it'll make it you can make more of one, right? You'll get 3 potions instead of 2 or something like that. And when you're blacksmithing, which again, I'm hoping they do correct the visual bug. It only seems to be a bug with making the hunter's blade, but the blade actually disappears when you're moving it on the anvil. It didn't do it on the one when you had to do it, but I tried to make one today and it was doing it.
That's weird.
It's actually really hard to figure out where you're lining up.
Sucks. Yeah, because I've made 2 and it hasn't disappeared, but I do have.
I saw a video where it happened to somebody else, so I know it's not just me too.
I'm sure, but I have, and it's happening to other people. The bug where, and it only happens on one bow. It's not all bows. It's just one of the first bows you pick up that when you start to draw it back, it just instantly fires. And I'm like, this for my Robin Hood playthrough is not doing well. and that was a kind of funny thing because I wanted to play like a Robin Hood, but like stealth. But I'm going to steal from everybody, from the rich and the poor, and keep it for myself. And when on one of the very first missions, I had to go to the blacksmith to learn blacksmithing. And I was like, man, I got to find a bow. I couldn't find anywhere or anything. And as I'm going there, I'm walking through the woods, and there's just this one lonely guy walking by who's a huntsman, and he's wearing green robes and a green pointy hat with a bow. And I was like, you've got to be kidding me. So I hid in the bushes, and I jumped out and I stabbed him in the back of the head, and I stole his stuff, and now I'm Robin Hood.
Your Henry is a very, very bad person.
I am, and that's another thing though. Is like everybody's playthrough is going to be completely different in this type of game. So I'm super excited to see like where you go, where Silk and it goes, and like other people go, because it will be completely different for people.
Also, a minor little thing that I don't know if you realize this or not. The map that we're wandering around right now, you realize that's the really, really small one. The real map is the second one.
Yeah.
Which now I've not seen it in size comparison, but I know it is significantly larger.
Yeah. And we talked about blacksmithing and stuff. I have barely touched the game. I want the blacksmithing DLC now.
No, to be fair, when they announced that, I did not realize that the blacksmithing was in the game as it is. That allows you to have your own forge.
Right.
Now, I assume it also allows you to become a master blacksmith, so I imagine you could probably make significantly better gear. But also, to bear in mind, that's probably also going to be very, very late game content, too. I doubt you're going to be doing it when you're wandering around Trotsky or whatever.
Now, in the first one, I never played the DLC to the first game, but I know there was DLC where you could like make your own little town or something, wasn't there?
Yes.
So is that? I don't know if there's anything that's already.
I don't know. I did not actually. I mean, I played a lot of the first one. I did not get far enough to actually get to the point where that happens.
Yeah. So I'm wondering if they have that already built into this game, or if they don't at all, or if that'll be.
I imagine so. It depends where the story goes, because obviously, a large part of the story of the first game is that you were helping to build up
Yeah.
Like Kuttenberg's army, basically, to
Mhm.
resist the Cumans and stuff. Which, another thing I do want to point out for those who don't know, like, this obviously is based in, like, the story itself is fictional, but it is based with, it's historical fiction. It's based within actual, like, historical events, which I did not know much about, right? Because this is stuff that would, like, when I was in school, we kind of really didn't even go over, like, the Holy Roman
Right.
Empire.
Right.
Because the reality is, like, even though it was major European history, it didn't really affect North America very often, so it's not something that we would
Right.
study much. But, like, the civil war that happened throughout the Holy Roman Empire is actually pretty friggin' wild.
Yeah.
Like, Daniel Vavra had shared some video of a very, like, overview of kind of what happened. I'm like, man, these guys were some backstabbing sons of bitches, all of them. Like, Sigismund was a dickhead, which obviously is not a surprise. That the game kind of does tell you that, but like, and also I kind of kept getting confused by the name, because the reality is the Holy Roman Empire is not Rome. And so I'm like, this is really weird. I thought Rome was long gone by that point, or, Roman
Right.
Empire. Yeah, the reality is it's actually more like German.
Yes.
It was like when the German, not empire, but when they were kind of ran most of Europe at that point. But it is very interesting, and actually it does. This also qualifies to the first one, but the Codex does such a good job of actually, like, giving you information about what actually historically happened, and how,
Yes.
the simplest thing, like a friggin' so I was wandering through a forest, right, and I saw some uh pagan, like, ritual site thing, and all of a
Mhm.
sudden it pops up, new Codex entry, paganism.
Yep.
And I'm like, man, they really went all in on
Oh, yeah.
the historical aspect of this, and I love that so much.
Yep. And they did a great
I
job.
don't want every game to be that, but, like, I want more games to be like that, right?
Yeah, and they did a great job in the codex, because I'll tell you right now, any game that has a codex of, like, enemies, items you pick up, I don't bother with it. I click on it so so it doesn't say there's something new in there, and that is it. The codex for Kingdom Come is so well written, and how it looks written,
Mm,
like it's an actual old document, is just
mm.
so good. The game is fantastic.
And actually, another thing that we haven't even talked about, the game is funny as hell at times too.
Yes, that was one of the
I
certain
did
things I was going
not
to bring up.
expect that, but damn, it is so
Yep.
funny sometimes.
I
The-
literally have laughed out loud playing that
yes,
game, and I don't laugh out loud at games often.
early in the game, when he goes over to talk to that chick, and the camera is zoomed in on her, the tavern maker, and they're like, "What is that smell? Did something die?" The camera pans over, and Henry's standing there because he's completely covered in horse shit. I, I was like, "Holy hell!"
Oh god, the best one is when Hans goes up and he thinks he's, king shit, and
They dump
dump
the
shit
thing
on,
on
and
him. Yeah.
just the voice acting and writing
It's so
is
good. It's top notch.
phenomenal.
It is top notch.
It is so good. Like, you really feel like you're watching a movie. It's
The,
so good.
the Either the dude that plays Henry, the dude that plays Hans, or maybe both are 100% going to be up for voice actor of the year.
Oh,
When Game
they
Awards
have to
for.
be. They
Yeah.
have to be.
Um.
Um, ugh.
Did you find did, did you find the what are they called? The games, not Games Maker. That's Hunger Games. Uh, the guy that, like, controls hunting in the area. Did you happen to find him? I, I
I
was
haven't.
okay. So if you're trying to get Mutt back, depending which direction you go, you may encounter him before the quest makes you do it.
Oh,
But
okay.
otherwise, you do have to get him, right. Which is also funny because you could have had your bow this way without what
Oh,
you
see,
had
I
to do.
haven't even gone towards mud or anything. I've just been doing my own
Well,
thing. That's what
the,
happens in an open world for me. I just like,
the quest to get Mutt actually does wander you around a little bit. But
okay.
nonetheless, you get this guy, right. You have to protect him. It's so funny because this guy is completely off his ass, piss drunk, and, like, so this is the first time you'll actually no, you didn't do it because you have to fight wolves.
That's right.
So when you fight wolves, he's sitting up in a tree, right, like, hiding from them, right? He goes to jump down, and the stupid ass breaks his ankle. So you have to carry him, and like he's trying to explain to you where to go, but since you're carrying him over your shoulder, he's looking at your ass. And he's like, I can't describe this looking upside down. It is so damn funny.
Oh god. I'll have to get to. I'm gonna have to do that too. That's my problem with open world games, especially one like this where it's so immersive and just do whatever. Like I
I
will have a
also
hard
decided
time
pretty early
focusing.
I decided pretty early I wanted to get Mutt back because obviously there's entire
Yeah,
skills based around using him enough.
right.
But
Yeah, so I
yeah,
probably should run to that
yeah.
first. But a
But
fantastic game,
mhm,
fantastic. Like I said, I've barely touched it, 4 or 5 hours maybe, and it's already left an imprint on me. Like you said, like Oblivion, as soon as you open up the sewers and you see Oblivion for the first time, it's just one of those games that leaves a mark on you that 20 years from now you'll be like, "Oh, this game did this for me."
mhm,
And this is one of those games
mhm.
easily.
And
But
something about these games that makes them starkly different from like the Elder Scrolls games is their specific focus on the main story. The main story is the
Mhm.
main point of these games, right? You have other
Yep.
shit to do, you have all kinds of side quests, all that, but the main point is to do the story. And in fact, I've mentioned numerous times playing the first one, like it basically forces you into doing some of it because you can't
Right.
ever in the first game you can't ever even get remotely competent no matter what you do at sword
Right.
until you get to the point where they train you. Then you can go do whatever you want to do and learn how to do it, right? Um, and like those other games, like they put the main quest in so they can have it, but the reality is they know nobody plays it. Um, but this, like, your main driving point is to do the main quest, and then you can do other stuff to help you make money and all that other stuff in it.
Right.
But your main point is to drive the quest. And apparently, the main quest of this is really friggin' long. I've heard like
Good.
I've heard like 60 hours for just like
God,
to
Jesus
mainline it,
Christ.
which is also funny because
Uh,
I was going to ask you if you ever happened to look at the percentage ticker on the PS5 because it's so wrong. Like
yeah, because when I started it up last time, I was like, "You're 18% done." I'm like, "There's no way. There's no way."
18. Mine's at
Yeah.
45, and it's not even
Oh,
close.
really? I
I
wonder if
think
it's
I think the reasoning is I think it's maybe the percentage to finishing
the
the
quest that
first.
you're on.
No, because there's two of those. There's
Right.
always one where the quest that you're on, but
Right.
there's also the one that the PlayStation Network does that has like the looks like a set of steps that's supposed to be your progression through the main quest. I think it's calculating to finishing the main quest in the first map, but the second map is,
Oh,
is like where the majority of the game takes
right,
place.
right. Okay. Yeah,
Uh,
maybe.
so I think it's
Maybe.
actually. Oh, I know it's incorrect because I know I'm not 45% of the way through the
Yeah,
story.
no, when mine said 18%, I was like, "There's no way. There's no
Yeah,
way," because I
yeah,
haven't done anything except rob people. That's all I've pretty much done.
yeah. Truthfully, 18% is probably roughly what it would take to even get to the point where you can start wandering around the map.
Right, right. And congratulations to Warhorse too. They made their money back in one day on the games. So that's fantastic. So
Which, as I
clearly,
mentioned,
people.
also goes to show how that proper leadership can. Now,
Mhm.
obviously, it being in Europe makes a big
Right,
difference there, right?
right.
Because the cost is not
Cost and
anywhere
all
near
that
what it
stuff.
is in the United States. Because the cost of development in the West is just or in the United States, right?
Yeah,
It's
it's
completely out of
insane.
control.
Yeah,
You
that's
look
why.
and like I mentioned to Ellery, Remedy made Control for $30 million.
Right.
Thirty
Yep.
million dollars would be what they had to pay the voice actor in
Right.
the United States.
Yep.
But so that does come into play. But the reality is, because bear in mind, they made this over the course of 7 years. Yeah, right. So since the first game
Hmm.
came out, plus they were probably making DLC. But it's like
Yeah.
no matter the team size, there's no game that you could make in the West in 7 years for $30 million. And
No.
an indie would cost more than that.
Right.
Um, but nonetheless, it was properly the leadership did it correctly, right? Like they knew what they
Yep.
were doing. They didn't overextend things. It's like
Hmm.
this is what like everyone's always saying like what does what does the game industry need to learn? It's like this is what they need to learn. Now again, I understand not every game can be this, right?
Right.
Um well, I got to bring up any kind of Silk Song reference. Now again, not every game can be like this, right? Like I don't care if you put them in Antarctica. Naughty Dog is not going to be able to make their games for $30 million, right?
No, it just wouldn't happen. Just wouldn't
Sure.
happen.
And if they did, it would not be the game that you want Naughty Dog to make,
No, it
right?
would be a
Right.
small little, like you said, it would
But
be a small little like indies
bingo.
type thing.
But
Yep.
It just goes to show not every game needs to cost $150 million.
Right. Yep.
And this goes back to when Microsoft initially closed Tango, which just emphasizes how stupid that decision was, because they're in Japan. They're not a United States studio, so the reality was the cost of running that studio would be pennies compared to what they're what they're paying the studios they still have. It's like that in of itself is the reason why you shouldn't have closed them. You should have kept it open, because that's a footnote in your So
God, that pisses me off so much. That closure did not sit well with me.
I believe I have said all I have to say about Kingdom Come, but I cannot speak highly enough about this.
Yeah. Going forward, like game of the year or whatever, GTA 6 coming out and stuff. Going forward from now, after this game, every single open world game I play, I will be judging based on this game and its immersiveness and such. GTA has cars and all that stuff, of course, and it's different, but there's still a level of immersion type of thing. And Kingdom Come is definitely going to be one that is just going to be, if something beats this, it'll be, I don't know. I don't know. It's just so crazy.
I mean, there is a lot of good looking stuff coming this year, but
there is, 2025 is insane. I messaged you earlier this week. Last year was definitely the year of RPGs, and there was some good games for sure. But this year, there are multiple fantastic games on the horizon for all genres. It's just nuts. I could take the year off and probably wouldn't have time to play them all.
Oh yeah, it's crazy. Well, that said, though, you can see why we did have quite a drought there for a couple of years, because everything has been
was
like we had a really heavy 2022. I'm sorry, 2023. And then we had a JRPG heavy 2024. Now we have an everything heavy 2025 and 2026. Like there is a lot of stuff coming out these next 2 years.
Absolutely nuts. That's all I gotta say about Kingdom Come as well. Just play the game. Just try it, because
just play the game. It's funny you say that.
Okay,
it's funny you say that.
I say it because
right there. Just play the game.
At this point, it's a meme, and I will never play Hollow Knight because that means it'll never come out. As for Kingdom Come, just like give it a try if you're anybody. Like, even if you like cozy games, you can get by probably in this game and not do the main story.
I don't think I agree with you there, because
and just do crafting.
I don't think I agree with you, because the reality is Kingdom Come is difficult. So if you only like cozy games, you might.
That's true, because you really can't go out because you're gonna get bandits coming after you and stuff too. But there is a coziness to it. For sure.
Well, yeah, I mean, it has plenty of survival game elements.
Even the menus are fantastic. God.
Yeah, that's one weird thing I noticed. Do you notice how dark they are? It's
and like the bottom areas, I was like, is my TV dimming at the bottom, or is it like
it has like this weird like vignette look to it.
Yeah.
I will say this is a very minor thing, but one little kind of complaint I do have, and I don't know why they changed this. As far as I can tell, the only way to check the time is to bring up the wait menu. In the first game, you could see the time in the like inventory screen. It was right above. It was above the picture of Henry.
It was like a little.
As far as I can tell, the only way to check the time in this game is to check the wait menu.
Oh no, it's we got Silken in chat says there is a coziness to Elden Ring. Weirdly enough,
I get what he's saying. I don't think
I think I see where he's coming from.
It's kind of just like wandering around the world map and checking things out. But the reality is, when you wander around the world map, then something attacks you, and obviously the cozy aspect is gone.
Ellery saying I find Diablo 4 cozy. I can see that, because Diablo 4.
I don't agree with that either at all. Even having not played it.
The only thing that I can see for me as in cozy with it is I can put it on, and it's kind of like I'm just farming something, and I'll put a podcast on.
You can turn your brain off. Yes.
And that's what I'm thinking.
When I think of cozy games, I think of something that's like low to zero stress at all.
Right.
And even if you're over leveled in Diablo, I wouldn't consider it that, because you're fighting mobs the whole time. So
I suppose
if it's what works for you.
Hey, But yeah, fantastic game. I can't wait to get into it more because I can, like I said, I have just barely scratched the surface, so I can't even imagine what else they put in here. So
I'm kind of looking
definitely
forward to see
excited.
what they do with hardcore mode in it too. Did you ever see what hardcore mode in the first game is? It's pretty wild.
Yeah, like you can get sick and die. You can like if you don't
Well, more
eat,
than
you'll
that.
die, or
So like no matter what you play it without,
and you
I
can
think I
only
don't.
save in a bed, right? Correct in hardcore.
What? No, you can still use saber schnapps.
Oh, you could. Okay.
But I think the difference was in the first game you could only save by sleeping in your own bed, which is how it does work in
Okay.
Kingdom Come 2. So I don't think that'll
Yep.
change. But when you make a new hardcore game, the it has what, like 10 different like ailments, and you have to pick 2 of them.
Yes. Yes.
Some of them are brutal, but some of them are funny. Like unfortunately the first game you cannot play regular mode with by picking the ailments. It doesn't give you the option. There's the one that you're a sleepwalker, and like it can create some genuinely wild things.
That's
like I was listening,
fantastic.
because the way it works is, now I've never played it this way, but what the hell's his name? I can't. The one guy who does some work for like Last Time Media, he was talking about it one time, right? And he loves that game. So also bear in mind when you play hardcore mode on the map, it does not show your location. You still see the things you unlock, but it does not show your location.
I do remember
right?
that. Yep.
So actually, I kind of like that because you got to learn your waypoints and stuff, right? He said one time, it's early in the first game, you go on the hunt with Hans Capon, right? And basically, you more or less have to sleep, right, to kind of pass the time to when the hunt begins. He said his character had sleepwalked at that point, so he woke up in the middle of a forest with no idea where he actually was.
Oh,
right?
and nowhere on the map
because it doesn't tell you on the map where you are. So he had to actually like use the waypoints to figure out where he was and make it back to actually do it, or else
That's so good.
The story would continue, but you would fail this quest because you couldn't compete with her. And he's like, it was kind of stressful and a pain in the ass, but afterwards I was like, that was actually really freaking cool.
That's fantastic.
Like it made you like, it made you really think on your feet.
Right. What a game. What a game.
Yeah.
Just another immersion thing right there too. Like this is so good. Yeah, so that's it for me on Kingdom Come.
That's all I got for now.
And then so should we talk about what next week's question is?
Let's have it.
For the community. Yep, so I've got one for this week, and mine is, I'm just going to say top 3, or if you've got more than 3, Matt, whatever, you can do as many as you want or as less as you want. But top moments in gaming that really just awestruck you and stuck with you.
That's not what you told me. You changed it.
What did I say? That's what
you said. You said disappointments.
Oh no, I did. No, I was okay. I'm thinking of another question that was like further down because we were talking about Oblivion.
I was like, wait, I had like the first one right in my head, and that's not it at all.
We were talking about Oblivion and this game and stuff, so I was thinking like stuff that like did awestruck you. So the exact opposite of awestruck. Top game disappointments, which my top one is. To be clear,
I'm just gonna ask so that everybody knows: are we talking news related, story related, all of the above? What? Bug related, like something released in a bad state?
I think anything. Let's do the grand scope of anything game genre news, or if a game just came out and it disappointed, you were like had high hopes and it just disappointed. A news in the game industry that really upset you, just something that when you think about your back time of history of gaming, things that pop out of you that go, oh, that sucked ass type of thing. But
if nothing else, that'll at least be an honorable mention.
That's
a good call.
Even Ellery is turning on me. That is something. That's something. Like, I don't know if I can take that. And silking it over here, I'm not disappointed. I'm just sad. It's kind of like when your parents come up to you and they're like, I'm not going to beat you, but I am, you've had disappointed
I'm
me.
not angry. I'm just disappointed.
I'd rather you beat me. Jesus Christ, God, I'm like the.
It's the running meme that never should have happened.
And at this point, I gotta keep it going. I feel, but no, I should.
Don't forget, Silken it. Don't forget, you have to come up with a punishment for next week for him. I am absolutely dead serious about this. You have to come up with a punishment for him.
Oh,
it can either be something he has to do next week, or we can reveal it next week and then it has to go for the next one. If it's something elaborate enough, I want you punish this son of a bitch. He's the one that came up with the fortune cookie idea, and he didn't come through on it. Which I better be careful because I'm down to like 2 of these and I can't find them. So I
have a whole bag at my freaking house, and I was literally thinking, I was like, I need all day. I was like, I need to bring my, I need to bring a cord for the internet, so I'm not on Wi-Fi, and I need to bring my fortune cookie. I forgot both, and I reminded myself all day.
Ellery, I said I might make him eat a whole family bag.
God, what about a fortune? What about this?
No. We reject your
no, because you might like this as much as I already hate the idea, and I shouldn't even say it. Is next week, if I remember my fortune cookie, I have to dip the fortune cookie in ketchup. I hate myself.
But that's punishment for like 5 seconds.
No, it's not. No, it's not. That potato chip and ketchup stuck with me for like a week. I could feel it in my chest a week later.
I reject your negotiations. That's a fail. That's a fail, and reputation lost.
Oh God, yeah. Whatever you guys think of,
get creative here, Soaking It.
I don't know what.
I'm counting on you, buddy.
If it's something that needs to be done, just give me a couple days heads up.
It depends what it is.
All right, okay. All right. I can do
something. If it is something that requires time preparation, then obviously you'll be.
Otherwise, if it's something quick like singing the ABCs backwards or something, I can do that on the spot. If
that's what he suggests, I'm telling you right now, we're not using it.
No, Silken it. I cannot. Absolutely will not be.
I'll allow it. You just have to video record yourself as you package it up so that we can watch you cry.
I would be in tears. I would be in tears. Oh God, I would rather douse myself in ketchup and roll around.
Okay, just throwing this out there. Here is a suggestion, Silken it. You can require Clint to buy me the whatever the hell it's called, like figure one or whatever it is version.
The $5,000.
It's like $5,000. I would permit this one. I would permit that one. Yes. So just put that out there. If you throw that up there, that would be acceptable.
Only if we can share it. Like I'll have it on weekends. You can have it during the week.
I get
it on Christmas.
I'll send you a picture of it every week. How about that? From a new angle.
God.
But it'll be displayed prominently behind us. So yeah, it is insane.
It's so ridiculous. They are gorgeous, though.
Oh, they're incredible. I'd love to have all 3 of them, but that's like $15,000 worth of statues.
So stupid. It's so stupid.
Those are like ultra high end statues, so that's why they're so much.
And
they're also are enormous too. So
yeah,
like I think they're like 16 inches high.
Yep.
But
well,
all right. Anything else, or
just anything else, or?
Yeah,
should I do a shitty internet fortune?
You can if you want, but it's not getting you out of the punishment.
I know. Let's do this one. Oh, I can do a custom fortune cookie. All right, am I going first or you?
I'll read this because it doesn't.
You have a real fortune, sir.
Yeah, it also doesn't really make any sense. The best mirror is often a good friend.
You just really like yourself, I guess.
People suffering from anorexia would disagree with that, but okay.
All right, generate your fortune cookie. Click. Okay. What? A real patriot is the fellow who gets a parking ticket and rejoices that the system works.
What? If you're that person, Please let me know so that I can mail you some anthrax.
What is that even? I don't even generate another because that one's.
I am morally opposed to the idea of that one.
You will be unusually successful in business. I mean, I guess that one's not bad. I guess that first one was something though.
Spreading and herd growing confirmed.
Because usually you can add in bed to the end of these and they make sense. Like the mirror one kind of makes sense. You will be unusually successful in business in bed. But that first one,
I guess it depends on the business.
It depends on the business. It depends on the parking ticket.
Hey.
Oh God. And Paul, that one was terrible no matter what country you're in. Yeah, no shit. That was awful. Oh
yeah,
God.
it was like whoever made that is probably on a CIA watch list and they're trying to weasel their way off of it.
Oh God.
They're a government brown nosing fucking stooge.
God. Ugh. Well, all right, sir. If that's good for you, I'm all set. And then, we'll put the question in the Discord, and then.
So, real quick question here. What do you think? Should we? I was thinking about how we do this because obviously, the further weeks we go, it'll be hard. Do we delete the channel every week and create a new one so that we only have the current one, or do we just keep adding into the same one?
Because it is kind of scrolling up and trying to find it.
Yeah. So let's see. Can I archive a channel? Whoops, that's not what I clicked the wrong thing. I don't know if you can do that. Let's see.
Should be something. Or we can. Oh, you know what I can do is I can pin the question, or we can pin the question, and then people can reply to it.
But the issue also would be, trying to find where to start when we're looking for them. You know what I mean? Like this time it was easy because they were all obviously the same.
Right.
Same one.
Yeah. We'll see if we can figure something out. If not, we'll
think on this one.
We can reset the channel, but yeah, we'll see what we can do.
Yeah, I'd like to not delete the history.
Yeah, because there could be some good stuff in there. You know, some real incriminating things.
Well, you know what? Thinking about it, how about this? Just every single week when we do it, I will make it or I'll tag in everybody to it. Because then I can just simply look for where
scroll up,
for where it's highlighted.
The first everybody,
yeah. That might not be too bad.
That works. Yeah, so I'll put it in this week as this was my question,
and we'll do both. We'll do it that way, and you can pin the question so that people can see what it is right off the top.
That works. Sweet. All right, folks. Well, that's it for us. Thank you very much for joining us and listening us to praise Kingdom Come because it's so good. Play the game. Anyways, we'll see you next week with the question and whatever. We didn't really go over game news either because we weren't really into Kingdom Come, but there wasn't too much. I mean, PSN.
Yeah, there wasn't a ton.
Down,
it was mostly
whatever.
Metal Gear's release date leaked, and that was about
it.
Yeah,
nothing too crazy.
PSN was down, and Sony said nothing about
it. All right, folks. Well, thank you very much for joining us. We'll be back next week, probably on Friday next week, hopefully, and then. We'll have the questions, talk to the community some, maybe go over some gaming news, and then we'll go from there. But as always, thank you very much for joining us, and have fun with what you play, and do what you want to do. Don't worry about what anybody else says. Thanks, everybody. Yes. Don't play Hollow Knight.